Okay, here we are back again with more Dragon Age Inquisition, and I am back in Skyhold, at least for the moment. I had to do some inventory management, and I also would like to check the war table, and do that, and then we will, and then I will turn in, the quest for Cullen, and then we will go back to the Emerald Graves and do that, chateau place thing, whatever. So let's see, what have we got? Reparations for Redcliffe, Inquisitor. I'm pleased that we were able to work together for the betterment of the people of Redcliffe Arling. May Andraste watch over you. I've got some money. Alright, cool.
I should inspect the condition of the trebuchets. They must be calibrated to reach the proper range.
Again? How many times will you be doing that?
Calibrations, Cullen? A2, Cullen? A2? Red Jenny and the Bad Goods. The caravan we misled into the mountains surrendered after their food ran out. Their supplies of weapons and armor were ill-suited to survival. While their intended benefactors remain unknown, we have assuredly denied them thanks to Sarah's friends. Cool. Support from Navarra. A letter delivered to Skyhold. It was a pleasure meeting with your representatives. We are happy to lend the Inquisition our support. Tyrion Veneto, on behalf of Her Grace, Duchess Amalia. Alrighty. The Tevinter Resistance. I received some news from Iveris. It seems her little resistance has drawn support, just as she hoped it would. Thing is, that support comes in the form of idealistic magisters with no real power.
I have something for you, Commander.
Oh.
The soldiers the Herald rescued from the Falomire arrived an hour ago.
Thank the Maker. We need good news.
That took a really long time, guys. What the heck? Anyway, thing is, that support comes in the form of idealistic magisters with no real power, while the ones who might see her group as a threat are the true heavy hitters. Reading between the lines, I'd say Iveris is in more hot water than she lets on. She's crafty, but she could use more help right about now, or the resistance might die on the vine. Up to you, but if you ask me, any enemies of the Venatori should be friends of ours. Dorian. Josephine says, the Inquisition is now forced to be reckoned with, even into Winter. Openly declare our support for the resistance. Liliana says, allow me to handle this. Eliminate one of her enemies, and the rest will believe she can strike at them with impunity. They will back off. Cullen says, send some Templars north. Disguised, of course. Real Templars. The sort who can disrupt magic. That should be all the help she needs. That sounds like a good idea.
To work?
Let's do that. Let's see. Claim Grey Warden cache. Inquisitor. Per information gleaned from the wreckage of Adamant Fortress, the Inquisition has learned of a cache of Grey Warden supplies hidden not far away. They placed such supplies to aid those fighting large numbers of Darkspawn without reinforcement. The Inquisition could make good use of them. Liliana says, a small team could be in and out of the area with no one the wiser. Cullen says the area is dangerous. We'll need a heavily armed force to reach the supply cache. Yeah, I'll leave that for Cullen. Dwarven slaves in Venatori hands. A report from one of Cullen's forward scouts. Sightings in the north of Red Templars with armor and weapons adorned with dwarven runes. There are no known entrances to the deep roads in that area, and no missives from Orzammar about missing traders, but they keep next to non-existent records of surface dwarves. The Venatori may be making use of dwarven slaves, possibly from Tevinter. Not their usual preference, but also not the first unusual thing they have done. Recommend further investigation in force. Josephine says the local landholders will get our scouts access, but will likely require additional incentive to risk their forces against Venatori. Liliana says, send a select group to observe. We don't want to alarm the Venatori. We know they're all too willing to sacrifice their captives. Cullen says, if there's a hint of a Venatori enclave, especially one supplying weapons, we need to crush it. Let's let Liliana do that. We'll see what comes of that. That's fine. Protect Valgamore from Darkspawn, your worship. My town of Valgamore has been besieged by Darkspawn. I cannot fathom where the loathsome beasts have come from, but I beg the Inquisition for assistance. My own humble forces have already been dispatched to help in your own noble efforts, leaving my people ill-equipped against the savage host. Word of your redemption of the Grey Wardens has already spread far. Please, if you can spare them, Valgamore lives or dies by your word. Yours, Marquise Effiloche Buffon. Josephine says, Marquise Effiloche has other allies. She can call upon them, and we can save the Wardens for a true emergency. Liliana says, it is odd to see a town threatened by Darkspawn. I suggest we investigate before committing forces. Cullen says, the Grey Wardens are the best in the world against Darkspawn. This is their chance to shine. Yeah, I'll probably let Liliana explore that a little further once I get a chance, because I feel like that is probably a little bit weird. Celebrate the dragon slaying. Word has spread about the dragon the Inquisitor killed. A note passed on by Josephine. Tell me you sent soldiers to collect the grisly remains. We have nobles clamoring to see the head up close. I should have anticipated this. Gawking is for peasants, but it becomes civilized when done with a glass of wine in one hand and a fan in the other. And another from Ferelden, signed Heron. My associate Wade is known throughout Thedas for his talent at capturing the glory of the Draconic in the armor he makes. The scarcity of dragon scale means that Wade is all too rarely afforded the chance to work in his chosen medium. But here's a solution. Wade shares his expertise with the Inquisition in exchange for the dragon materials collected so far. Josephine says, let us set up the trophies you've collected and put out the word. We are celebrating our dragon slayer. Fascinated nobles will do anything for an invitation. Cullen says, Wade and Heron are troublesome. Yeah, they are, that's true. But Wade's talent is undeniable. Send them whatever dragon materials we aren't using ourselves. I'll probably send Wade and Heron those materials. That's fine. The Orl's invitation. Ambassador, I apologize for any unpleasantness that might have arisen from my last correspondence with the Inquisition. My people have been under tremendous strain for too long, even before the destruction of the Conclave, and it has taken its toll on all of Redcliffe Arling. But that is in the past. Today, I write to offer an invitation to the Inquisition. The Banorn of Callan is part of my domain, and now lies empty. Ban Elara lost her life attending the Conclave. Her only living relative holds lands too far away to administer both. By Ferelden custom, the lands are now the property of whomever claims them through skill of arms. A tournament will be held at Callan, with the victor taking the title as their prize. The Inquisition may send a champion to fight in the melee if you wish. Sincerely, Arl Tegan. Josephine says, we can't truly run a Banorn, but a well-chosen envoy could win us Ferelden allies. Cullen says, we could send a champion. It may not be wise to win, however. Fereldens hold grudges, and Cullen would know. No, let's let Josephine handle that. That's fine. We can do that. I feel like I've taken too long. It always takes me forever to, like, decide who should do what at the war table, so I'm just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Anyway, I do need to talk to Cullen. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to head right back to the Emerald Graves.
Worship.
So...
The smugglers we interrogated gave up the Red Templar's main source of red lyrium, Inquisitor. It's located in the Dales, near a town called Sarnia. Destroying the mine there will cripple Samson's operations.
Well done.
Excellent work, Commander. I'll investigate the mine.
Destroying the Red Templar's source of lyrium will be a loss Samson won't soon forget.
I'm glad you're pleased. Alright, so that's the next step. Not going to do that yet, though, because Sarnia Quarry is actually in Pries du Lion, and I haven't even been there yet. What I am going to do, however, is enter Villa Maurel. So I'm going to go here, and... I don't know. Let's try a little different, slightly different party. Alright. Hello. Okay, here we are outside Villa Maurel, and we're just gonna go ahead and go inside.
The Freeman's leader should be holed up here. This place has seen better days.
These men are thugs. What do you expect?
Yeah, but still. They could at least try to, you know... Oh, look at you. Cole, why are you over here, buddy? Alright, cool. Oh. Sir Auguste is dead. If this continues, we'll lose everything we worked for. We must do something. Send all the men out, everyone who can fight. I'm heading to the Exalted Plains. There are still some freemen hiding out there. We can regroup. Emery. Yikes, man. Alright.
That seems to be the last of them.
I'm guessing that was the man in charge.
We've struck a blow against the freemen.
Good riddance to bad rubbish.
Agreed. Agreed. Let's just, loot everything. Red Templar correspondence. Tell your men to watch out for the Inquisition. The Elder One has had enough of their meddling. A letter bearing the Templar seal. Have a chat with Maleficent. Make sure everything's running smoothly. While there, see if any of his men might wish to volunteer their services in Emprise du Lion. We could always use a few more. Be discreet. Maleficent's still useful. I doubt he'd remain so if he thinks we're stealing his soldiers.
Seems we interrupted their meeting with the Templars.
They wanted something. It's still here.
Is it? That's helpful. Knight Captain, the freemen of the Dales are fracturing. The reports of infighting among the different cells, jostling for position. Even Maleficent is unable to hold them together. Is it wise to continue using them? Surely there are other ways to get the lyrium out of the Dales without relying on these rebels. Lieutenant Annika. Interesting. Well, I suppose we can poke around. There's still quite a bit of chateau left, or villa left to explore that we have not explored yet, so, you know, might as well.
We should search the area.
Indeed. We can do that. The long walk to Halam Shiral. Only 65 of our group made it to Halam Shiral. Some gave up, some sickened, especially the little ones. Bandits stalked us. My mother, forgive me, I had to steal food. A child fought me for extra scraps of bread. A few days later, I carried her for miles after her legs gave out. She died shivering in my arms. I used to have a master, a mage. He fed me well, never beat me, even taught me how to read so I could do his accounts. But if he had a theory or a spell he wanted to test out, he'd get out his daggers, have the other servants tie me to a post, and carve furrows into my skin. I was so afraid. Every time I was sure I would die, but at worst I'd collapse, get bandaged up, and lie in bed too weak to move for days. The other slaves visited me in secret to survey the damage. I'd heal just enough before he needed blood again. That is why I traveled from Valdorma to the Dales with nothing but rags on my back. That is why there were 105 of us when we set out, all elven. That is why I fell to my knees and wept when we crossed through the gates of my new home, a village for my people. Anonymous account of the long walk as told to Brother Pecker of Ferelden, circa -140 ancient. Okay. That's interesting. The Exalted March of the Dales. We know this. The Chantry's story of the Exalted March of the Dales paints the picture of the righteous faithful arrayed against heathen savages, but I have long studied the Dales, and I find the acceptable version of the tale to be a poor one, laden with overt pro-Chantry and pro-human biases. Thus, it is my moral imperative to propose an alternate interpretation, that the Exalted March of the Dales was nothing more than an expansionist ploy hiding behind the mask of faith. I mean, yeah, probably. It is easy to see on any map how large the Dales are. More importantly, they stand between Orlais and the rest of the south, and would likely have represented a significant obstacle to the Empire's expansion into Ferelden. Naturally, we stood to benefit from propagating the narrative of a hostile, unreasoning people attacking innocent missionaries and making blood sacrifices of good Andrastian babies. The likely truth is that the elves merely wished to maintain sovereignty over lands promised to them by Blessed Andraste herself, when the humans showed clear intent to undermine their autonomy. Of course, the elves reacted by becoming increasingly isolationist, which suited the Empire perfectly. Here was a kingdom that spurned diplomatic overtures and that refused to lend aid during the Second Blight when the Darkspawn attacked Monsimard. The Dalish kingdom could not be anything but a dormant threat, one that needed to be crushed before it awoke. Scholars point to the massacre at Red Crossing as the impetus for the Chantry's declaration of an exalted march on the elven kingdom of the Dales. They conveniently ignore the fact that no one alive truly knows what happened at Red Crossing or why the elves attacked. The Chantry's response to the elven aggression that resulted in the slaughter of hundreds was predictable, but in light of my thesis, perhaps we should re-examine the events of Red Crossing and wonder if the attack was truly unprovoked, or whether it is possible that someone saw benefit in sacrificing an entire village to justify the subjugation of an entire people. From a New Perspective on the Exalted March, a pamphlet by an anonymous author published by the University of Orlais in 912 Dragon. Yeah, I bet that was controversial. A letter to Maleficent. I'm sending men to discuss some changes. It's nothing dire. You'll find the demands perfectly reasonable. We're willing to compensate you for any inconvenience. I want our relationship to be mutually beneficial. It's been going so well, each of us with our crusades. See. Okay. Ooh, that was nice. Rune engraved key required. Okay. Okay, cool.
Red lyrium.
They must have been smuggling it for the
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Obviously. Maleficent's journals. Maleficent kept several journals. This one details the founding of the Freemen of the Dales. Auguste and I have established outposts in the Emerald Graves. We are spreading the word to both armies. I'm sick of good Orlesian men and women dying for someone else's cause. It ends now. Orlais should belong to us. The people who defend her borders, who till her fields. If we're to fight and kill for something, let it be that. Several pages later. Templars approached us. They are not the order I knew, but they have offered weapons and gold if we help bring their supplies through the Emerald Graves. If we are to free the Dales from the grasp of the nobility, we need what they have to offer. It's a deal with a demon, but our cause is worthwhile. Yeah, unfortunately, that I don't think worked out too well for you. An official appraisal. A note addressed to the villa's former owner lies next to an unusual device. Lord Maurel, I posed a few questions to my contacts in the White Spire. Discreetly, of course, lest they want the piece for themselves. From what I can gather, the device, rustically dubbed Illyrium Aperlin, is meant to restore broken runes. They are not widely used. Some suggest that if the rune were affixed to an object, the device could restore the item itself, although I was unable to confirm the truth of this. This is purely academic, as it requires a mage to function. It is nevertheless a rare piece, prized among the collectors of curiosities. I trust you are pleased with the purchase. Sincerely, Emile Fabre, collector and purveyor of unique ephemerae. Okay. So I need to find some pieces of a key. So that, I can probably get into that room. So let's see if we can find the key. Sexuality in Thetis. Okay, sure. What I find most interesting is that despite the lack of open discussion on matters of human sexuality, there is commonality to be found on the subject in all Andrastian lands. Typically, one's sexual habits are considered natural and separate from matters of procreation, and only among the nobility, where procreation involves issues of inheritance and the union of powerful families, is it considered of vital importance. Yet even there, a noble who has done their duty to the family might be allowed to pursue their own sexual interests without raising eyebrows. The view on indulging lusts with a member of the same gender varies from land to land. In Orlais, it is considered a quirk of character and nothing more. In Ferelden, it is a matter of scandal if done indiscreetly, but otherwise nothing noteworthy. In Tevinter, it is considered selfish and deviant behavior among nobles, but actively encouraged with favored slaves. Nowhere is it forbidden, and sex of any kind is only considered worthy of judgment when taken to awful excess or performed in the public eye. Okay, well, that's definitely some interesting information to have. And yeah, a lot of the sort of attitudes about sexuality and people's various proclivities. There's one piece.
Part of the key. There's a rune inscribed on it, or part of one.
Cool. But yeah, it seems to be like more tied to your class status than anything else in a lot of in a lot of Thetis. Lady Maurel's diary. The diary of one of the villa's former owners. The current occupants tossed it roughly aside. All this fuss over Gaspard and Celine. The talk was amusing enough. Now we hear of conflicts between the Imperial Army and the soldiers supporting that usurper. The thought of them coming here is frightful. Mother is right. Our most fashionable acquaintances will summer in the city. We should do the same. Raymond is stubborn, of course. All his little tricks and trinkets are here. I indulge his eccentricities, mostly to annoy Mother, but we cannot have everything sent to Valroyo on such short notice. He does insist we keep Artem on. He refuses to do without the man's services. I suppose he views Artem as another piece of his collection. Still, such devotion to a servant. But yeah, so like in Tevinter, it's particularly egregious to have sort of same-sex proclivities if you're a noble. But pretty much only if you're a noble. Nobody else seems to really care. Let's see. Pages from Lord Maurel's journal. The journal of one of the villa's former owners, the current occupants tossed it aside. Artem is the very soul of discretion. I could have a Templar to dinner, and they would be none the wiser. If the Templars haven't gone off to do Maker knows what, I might try it. Valerie complains, but the Empress herself has such an advisor. Why not me? His services are useful, and no one could better ensure our security. No matter. The distractions of the city will ease her mind soon enough. Okay. Another chest. There's a lot of loot in here. This is why I made sure, I made absolutely sure to empty my inventory as much as I could before I came into this place, because I remember these places tend to be absolutely filled with random loot just everywhere. Maleficent's journals. This one spans the time Maleficent spent as a sergeant in the Imperial Army. I see Laurent's death in my mind all the time. The man who killed her, one of the usurper's soldiers, was familiar. I wouldn't be surprised if I once shared a drink with him. Isn't that how it is now? Brother against brother? The priests tell me to remember Laurent's life, not her death, so I try to recall years past, the countless times she saved me. The day we first met, when I was a young recruit who almost pissed himself at her barked orders. Because of her, I learned discipline and control. She instilled in me pride in what we did. She taught me how to use a sword. More importantly, she taught me how to keep it sheathed. She was fearless, strong, regal, and she was cut down like a common peasant by someone we may have once known. Will anyone remember her? Will Celine? Some pages later, there is a new soldier in our battalion, Gordian. He's an odd fellow with an accent I can't place, like he'd spent time in the marches. It doesn't matter. In the end, he's been a comfort listening to me talk about those who died. He also lost friends in Celine's war, and he's tired like we are. He said a very wise thing. There is no war without soldiers. The Empress can't wage her war if we refuse to fight. Orlais should belong to Orlesians. It feels to me like Maleficent was, he had very pure intentions, but he was taken serious advantage of by someone called Gordian. That's what it seems to me, anyway. But yeah, it seems like even in Orlais, it's if you're gay in Orlais, it's probably more of an issue to be gay in Orlais if you're a noble, if you're of the noble class, because the nobles are by and large expected to, have heterosexual marriages and make babies to continue their lines and whatnot. So if you're not willing to do that, I would imagine that's potentially a problem even in Orlais. If you're willing to do that, once you have done it, then you can probably do whatever you want as long as you're discreet about it and nobody would really care. But, and yeah, I would imagine among the lower socioeconomic classes, it's just not as big of a deal because you're not so concerned with, inheritances and such. A servant's letter. A neatly penned note addressed to the villa's former owner. My lord, everything is in order for your departure. I've granted leave to all non-essential staff and arranged transportation for the time you requested. I have taken the liberty of securing the more valuable items in your personal storeroom. I trust you will find everything to your satisfaction. Artem. Okay. Which means, of course, that we have a very nice vault to plunder once we can find the third and final piece of this key. All right. Alright, we have all three pieces of the key. Let's put them in this thingy. And let's fix it. I think think that did it. And I think we can use it on this door. Look at that.
The best locks, the best loot.
Indeed. It's kind of how I feel. And look at that. Yeah, there is a lot of loot in here. All right. Cool. Well, I think I'd say I've thoroughly explored this, so I think I'm going to head back, and we're going to talk to Fairbanks, since we pretty much took care of the Freeman here in the Emerald Graves. This problem has been dealt with, so we should probably head back to Watcher's Reach. Alright. Hey, Fairbanks.
You saved my people. We'd given them up for dead. Perhaps the stories are true.
Right. Okay. I tried, you know, I do my best.
I'll be here.
Any news, Inquisitor?
The Freemen have been defeated.
They hurt so many of my people. Now it's finally over. Thank you. Perhaps with the Freemen gone, we can find a proper home. Algon's Lodge was always well situated. Inquisitor.
Yeah, I think I've already asked all of those questions, so I'm not going to worry about that again.
I need to be going.
I'll be here.
Make her be with you.
I've acquired an agent. That's nice.
I'm standing because of you. I've little to give, but I'll always be grateful.
I like it when we help people.
Me too, Cole.
The Inquisition will always be welcome here.
So how were you captured?
How did you end up in the Viridium mine?
Oh. We desperately needed supplies and tried to steal some from the Freemen.
I see.
The mine didn't seem well guarded, and I used to be in the militia in my home village. I don't know why we weren't killed. I do remember Sister Cousteau talking about sending us to the Emprise de Lyon. Maybe I was mistaken. I can't imagine what they'd do with us there.
So how have things been since you've been
I
back?
hope things are going well.
The supplies we salvaged from Cousteau's mine have been a great help.
Good.
Thank you again for saving us.
All right. Here is someone who has something for us.
Inquisitor, you saved Gertrude and the others.
I did.
Thank you so much. This is bold of me, but if I could have a moment.
Tell me about the people here.
I'd like to know more about you and the rest of the people here.
Most of us are simple folk. Farmers, fishermen. Jolene over there is a smith. Just people trying to escape the war.
Okay. And what do you know about Fairbanks?
What else do you know about Fairbanks?
He is a good man. He found us when we most needed him. He kept us safe. He doesn't like to talk about himself, so I actually don't know much about him.
Okay. But what is it that you need from me?
I'm here. What do you need?
This is about Fairbanks. There is a rumor that he is of noble blood. Once the war is over, many of us will return to serve our lords, to work their fields, raise their brats. Most of the aristocracy know little of the lives of commoners. They care nothing for us. Fairbanks is different. He is a great man. There is much he could do if he had the power. If the rumor is true, if Fairbanks is noble and we have proof, do you see what I'm saying?
Does he know about this?
Does Fairbanks know about this rumor?
He doesn't like it. And he won't let me discuss it. Stubborn ass.
What do you want me to do about it?
Rumor about Fairbanks being noble. What do you want me to do about it?
Oh, I don't mean to impose, but you travel all over the Dales, don't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Perhaps if you found something that could help. I've written everything I know in my journal. You can look at it.
Okay.
Goodbye.
I'll see what I can do. But I mean, even if he is noble, if he doesn't want to be, then I mean, I can't force him. But we'll see. Indeed, we shall see. Yeah, but I think I'll probably just go ahead and leave this here for now. I can, next time I might see if I can find proof of Fairbanks' nobility, sure. Clean up a little bit more in the Emerald Graves, maybe do a few more rifts, and a couple of these side quests that are still sort of sitting here and whatnot. But yeah, we'll leave it here. As always, if you like what you see, please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Later.